Today what we're going to be doing is changing the fuel filter on a Mark 5 Volkswagen Golf. This one in particular is the 2 litre BKD engine or 2 litre TDI. But yeah, basically 1.9 TDI and 2 litre TDI, I'm quite sure it's the same story. I think it could be similar on petrols, but you'll have to just double check on that one. To start with, you'll probably be wondering what's probably causing it to do this in the first place. Engine cutouts are quite a common indication. It could be down to bad fuel, so obviously your filter's getting clogged up. These are the things that you're going to need to do the job. First of all, you're going to need kitchen roll or something to wipe up, because it, like I said, it gets very messy. Close to a must, unless you want to smell diesel for the next 3 days on your hands, are these some sort of nitrate gloves. Should do the job. I've got this little scooper cut from a bottle of juice. Scoop the fuel out, because really when you take the fuel filter out, you want to inspect in there and you want to make sure there's no contaminants whatsoever. Obviously you're going to need a fuel filter. Quite sure this is the one for it. Typically you get the filter and a new O-ring for the top. I'll tell you which one later in the video, but you will need Torx for it as well, and a ratchet for your Torx or whatever, or if you've got a Torx Allen key set or something like that. But I think that's about it. Oh, you'll need a bin bag for all your rubbish, and also you will need a flathead screwdriver to pry the old fuel filter up. So in general, I wouldn't really consider this a hard job to do. I think for your average Joe you could probably do it, but it's just a mess, and the smell of diesel everywhere and it's spinning and stuff like that. So we're going to try and do it as clean as possible, but we'll just see how we go with it more than anything. Okay, so the location of your fuel filter is here in your engine bay. That's what I mean about the Torx. I believe it's a T27. Just goes in there, loosen all them off, and then there's a little flap here where you just get a screwdriver underneath. There's a few around there, but you do that and then just twist your flathead screwdriver and that should pry it up. When you're prying it up, you want to make sure you do it evenly around. So I'll get my gloves on and we can make a start. So now all of those are out, we just need to get here and, like I say, just give it a gentle pry, and then it'll start to inch up. And just sort of work your way around. Try not to pry one spot, because you don't want to bend it, and you want to try and bring it out as evenly as possible. And there we go, that's up. This is where it can get a bit messy. I'm going to try and get this here. This is why I got this, so we can sort of move straight in. When you do pull this out, you want to make sure you check inside the fins and just make sure there's no shiny metal shavings in there, because that could mean that your high pressure fuel pump is gone, the one that's in your engine. Because you've got two fuel pumps, you've got one at the front and one at the back. The front one is your high pressure, your rear one is your low. But that doesn't look too catastrophic. I'm just going to try scooping a bit of this out. Now we're just going to try and get the rest out with tissue. Kitchen roll is probably better than toilet paper or anything like that. They don't just break up immediately. So that's sort of as clean as is going to be. All that diesel is out there. Use the bit that we've took out to top that up. Well, before we carry on, just make sure we get that old O-ring off and put a fresh one on. Don't get me wrong, it's not been long since we've actually changed the O-ring, but we're doing a new filter, so it'd be a little silly not to. With the new O-ring, just help it seat a little better. Just get a bit of diesel on your finger or something and just work it around the O-ring. Just give it a little bit of lubricant. You've got to make sure it's seated all the way around. Now, it can only really go one way, So flat bit goes at the bottom, this bit clips in the top. Now if the diesel is really dirty, I wouldn't advise doing this. There are probably some people watching this screaming at the screen saying, oh, how it's old fuel. There's not too much rubbish in there at all, so I'm more than happy to put that back in. So now we just clip that in. It's basically a reverse of what you did before. We'll put our bolts back in. We want to make sure we're tightening them evenly, so don't just pinch one side, because that could damage the gasket and it might not seal correctly. So again, even with a hand and just a torque thing here, just slowly working our way around. We're not going too mad, not tightening one bit, not tightening one bit too much. Do advise a sort of star pattern. And that's a new one in. So now we just got to jump in the car, prime it a few times and start her up. And this is another reason why I really like these gloves, because we've just been messing about with all that diesel. Now we can just take the gloves off in the bin and we got clean hands. Okay, so now take the steering lock off. We're going to cycle the ignition about maybe 2 or 3 times, just so the fuel pump can fill that reservoir up a bit and we're not running dry. One more time for good luck. And now we start it. Here we go. So now we started. We're just gonna let it tick over. And if you have had a cutting out issue, then we're just basically just gonna leave it. And if it cuts out again, then obviously we know it's not the fuel filter. But that is it for changing the fuel filter on a Mark 5 Golf. It's really simple, but it's just really messy, and it can be really messy. I've seen people do it where they haven't cleaned the reservoir out and it's worked fine, but it's just up to you, like how like anal you want to be about it. If you want to like thoroughly clean the reservoir before you've put the filter back in, then obviously that's probably the best way to do it. But if you're in a rush or you're not really bothered about your car too much, then you can just take it out and whack a new one in. But yeah, it's advised that you sort of give it a bit of a clean. But yeah, that is it. If you did find the video helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, maybe even hit that bell icon for notifications on future uploads. But until the next time, peace.